Hey everybody, Tola here on Thursday, March 5th, 2015. It's also Throwback Thursday, so I'm bringing you back to the year 1977. But first, a quick get your shit together word. And today, it's a tie. It's a tie between a restaurant and an angry patron who's suing the restaurant for $100,000 in a public apology. Why? Okay, this happened on Valentine's Day. Crazy busy day. Hey, I know the restaurant business. It's the busiest day of the year. So we're going to Portland, Oregon, where Kathleen Hampton and her husband make a reservation for two at Enzo's Cafe Italiano. Well, guess what? She shows up without her husband, doesn't tell the restaurant that he's not coming, okay? And by the time she sits down, takes a while, the waitress handles it improperly. She asks her to get up and leave because the table is for two or more. Anyway, now this lady's suing, which I think is a bunch of bullshit, but I got to give it a tie because it's the restaurant who handled it improperly, and it's this woman who's trying to make money off of whatever. So here's what we're talking about. It's a case of shit happens, guys. You got to be accommodating and be respectful. Number two, anybody could sue anybody, right? Which is kind of crazy. And number three, the owner should have handled it more properly, I guess. I mean, this is something that should not happen, but the ability to sue for just any old reason, I think that's bullshit. So we're giving them both the Get Your Shit Together award. All right, on that note, let's go around the globe for the latest news. First one we're calling, All Good Things Must Come to an End. You guys see this? It's the end of the era or un-era for Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. They're fading out the elephants. The elephant acts are gone, right? The company announced plans to phase it out by 2018, 3 more years. Yeah, good news for 13 elephants. They're being sent to the Center for Elephant Conservation in Florida. Pretty cool, joining 40 others. Yeah, the CEO, he said it's the most significant change in the founding of this Ringling Brothers Center for Elephant Conservation. They did that in 1995 because, hey, you know, for 35 years, PETA, right, the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, have been complaining that, hey, they shackle these animals up. These are wild animals that roam 30 miles a day. So who the hell wants to be shackled? Hey, I remember back in the Wall Street days, I was shackled to a desk, sales and trading era, but at least I got paid for it. All right, second one we're calling Close Call. Hey, good news for 125 passengers of Delta Airlines flight from Atlanta to New York City, right? LaGuardia. The plane skidded upon landing and kind of ran into a snowbank. Pretty cool that there was a snowbank there. 2 minor injuries, 1 neck, 1 back. Nobody else was hurt. And I guess it's now time for the attorneys to swoop in and sue the pants off of Delta, right? You know that happens. And for our last story, we're calling It's Gonna Cost You. Here's this story here, Hilary Clinton. You guys saw the news today, right? Well, she's the leading Democratic candidate for the 2016 presidential bid. You guys know that. And she wants the public to see her emails from her tenure as the nation's top diplomat, right? Secretary of State. Amid controversy, all this controversy now because she used a private email. Well, she tweeted last night basically saying, hey, here, let's look at all my emails. There's all this Republicans are jumping in, political frenzy, all this bullshit. It was not improper of her to use a private email, but in doing so, she creates all this hubbub. So let's see what happens on this one. But hey, I just hope she didn't send any nude pics to anybody. Ooh, we don't want to be seeing that. On that note, let's go over to 1977. In 1977, hey, aside from drinking Mad Dog 2020 and playing strip poker in the woods with all the middle school girls, that was 1977. Well, let me give you a throwback to last night. I did my stand-up return at Flappers Comedy. Not too shabby, but I will tell you, man, that's scary. A lot of adrenaline going, but my sexcapades act didn't go over too well. But hey, the good news is I got some great advice from veteran Ken Pringle. I want to give a shout out to the folks, Ricky Lees, the host, and Ken. I mean, these guys got a great thing going over there at Flappers. I will be back. Looking forward to it. But speaking of comedy, in 1977 was the second annual HBO comedian show starring Andy Kaufman. Everybody knows Andy Kaufman, right? He made it appear like everything was a disaster. But his, he was a genius in his performances, and he kind of got inside the audience's mind. I mean, this guy was amazing. He took comedy and performance art to a whole new level and to the edges of irrationality and blurred the dividing line between reality and imagination. I mean, you guys know Andy Kaufman from Taxi. Taxi ran from 1978 to 1983. He was Vodka Gravis. I mean, he was amazing, but he started performing at the age of 9. As a child, he was entertaining at children's parties. I mean, talk about eccentric. And Lorne Michaels, right, Saturday Night Live, when their inaugural show, which was October 11th, 1975, he had Andy Kaufman on there. This guy was a pure comedy genius. I mean, hey, I studied the guy and I watched his movie, Man on the Moon, 1999, starring Jim Carrey. Hey, great film, excellent film. And if you want to learn all about kind of what was going on inside this guy's mind, hey, you know, I don't know what you could say about comics. And he enjoyed a brief wrestling career. But what I remember most about 1977, I was a kid, but Slew Mania. Remember Seattle Slew, one of the greatest racehorses of all time. The only horse to be undefeated and win the Triple Crown. You know, the 3 races. And Seattle Slew went on to finish his career, 14 wins out of 17 races. He's in the Hall of Fame. He was elected in 1981. But, I mean, what Seattle Slew did, actually, it paved the way for me. It took 20 years, but 20 years later, I ended up buying a racehorse. You can read about that in my memoir, The Winner's Circle, Chapter 38. Hey, give a shout out to my buddy Jimmy V from New York City. But Seattle Slew, it took over. The energy basically got into everybody's psyche. And people like that. You know, this is another thing. A wild animal, a thoroughbred, this powerful machine powering down. It excites people. It's the same thing with comedy. You know, it kind of gets in your psyche. But that was a pretty cool year, 1977. Remember it? I do remember it well. So, hey, on that note, we're going to finish up with that, guys. You know, pretty quick show today, but I appreciate you tuning in. And again, you want to watch more, subscribe on YouTube, follow me on the social at Rich Tola. And remember, dreams do come true. But hey, what do I know?